Okay, here we go. This is Neil Frankel with wealthpilgrim.com. I'm very happy to be back with Jake and Allie. Jake, Allie, you still there?
Yes, we are. Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Okay, good. And they've first thing we talked about this morning before we went online was to find out that the puppy, what's the puppy's name?
Griswold.
Griswold. Okay, so Griswold is doing well still, right?
He is, thank you.
Okay, cool. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we've gotten to know each other a little bit, and I've gotten to know you, which is much more interesting than you needing to get to know me. There's nothing there really. Okay. So, so I sent you a form that you filled out, at least Jake filled out, and basically what we're doing for the benefit of the audience is we're going to be looking at creating a financial plan for you, and to do that, obviously, we need data. Now, I sent the form, and what I found over the years of experience I've been doing this with people is that even though the questions probably seemed pretty straightforward, many times people they misunderstand what it is that we're really asking for. And it's critical to understand the data, to understand the client situation, and also what I found is that when I go over the data input form with people, that other things come up that we didn't think about before. So that's really important. We're going to go through it. Now, the one thing I will tell you, and I don't want to get on your case, Jake, but and actually I didn't say this straightforward in the beginning, but it is better if both of the couples do this together. If both of the partners in the couple do this together. I know that Jake, you filled it out, and traditionally one of the other people will do it, but it is better if it's done together. But okay, so Allie, you have something to hold over his head in the future, okay?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm just going to go over some of the information, and let's just, in fact, what I'll do is I'll go back and forth between sharing my screen and not, and let's go over here and do a share screen. Yeah. Start screen share. Okay, so do you see the data input form now?
We do not.
You still see
Oh,
me?
we do now.
You do now, okay. So for this is Jake and Allie, you figure Jake, you're going to retire when you're age 53, and Allie when you're 48. Is that about right?
That's the goal.
Okay. And you've asked me to run a plan until Jake is 91 and Allie is 90, right?
Okay. I
Is
didn't
that,
pick those dates, but that's fine.
do you want me to go to 95 and 95, or is that about right for you guys?
I would say that's probably closer to
95.
real.
95?
91.
91. Okay. Okay, so now let's go to the next tab and see what we come up with. Okay, that is the tab. Okay. Then in terms of assets, so you have common stocks about 162,000. You have a 401k with 229, an IRA with 109, a retirement plan with 6,700, a retirement plan with 169, another retirement plan with $5,500, checking accounts of 20, a house of 158, savings of 192, and cars of 40,000. Is that about right?
That sounds correct.
Okay, is there anything missing?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. So now what I want to talk to you about is, let's see, I'm going to go back to show you me. Okay. So now I'm talking to you again, and I want to ask you, of all those plans, are there any that you're contributing to on a monthly basis? The 401k, well, let's start with the first one. Your common stocks, are you putting money in there every month or every year?
Every week,
Every month. So on a monthly basis, what is the amount?
$1,600.
Okay. So you're adding $1,600 every month.
Yes.
Okay, and you're going to add that until you retire?
For
Or even pardon me?
For the foreseeable future.
For the foreseeable future. Okay, hold on a sec. Okay. So, there we go. Hold on. Okay, common stocks. So, let me go back here. So the pre-retirement, we'll put that is 0. Oops, 0. And we're going to say future changes. You're going to be adding $1,600 a month, basically. And how old are you now, Jake?
48.
Okay, so you're 48, and you're going to be adding $1,600 a month from now until forever.
At least until I retire, hopefully.
Okay, well there's a huge difference there. Do you want to run it until you retire, or do you want to run it until, let's say, 51 or 60 or 65? Or
Uh,
we can first start off by showing you saving that, let's say, till 65 if you want, and then make a decision later on.
okay, that sounds fine.
Okay, so I'm going to add a new entry. 65, we're going to be at 0. Okay, fine. Now, what about the 401k with 229,000 in it? Are you going to be adding any money there every month?
Yes, we're maxing that out. It's $337 a month or a week. So
Just give me all I need is the monthly basis. That'll really save some time.
um, hang on one second.
Okay, are you there?
1350.
Okay. Okay, and it's 1450. Okay, and is your employer also adding?
Yeah,
1350.
it's 1350, and they do a very minuscule amount.
I got 117 here is what you put in the input form. Is that about right?
That sounds about right. Yes.
Okay, so that will continue until you retire. Is that right?
Uh, yes.
Okay. Okay, good. What about this IRA? By the way, can you see my screen, the input form now?
We can.
Okay, cool. How about this IRA? Are there any additions in that one?
No, there are not.
Okay, what about this retirement plan for the Roth?
Yes.
Okay.
It's $400 a month.
400 a month. Cool. Okay. Is that pre-retirement or is that going to be for the foreseeable future?
Uh, and foreseeable future.
Okay. So tell you what, then let's do it here, and we'll do it here. So you're 48, and we're putting in $400 a month, and then we'll stop it at, let's say, 65 just for fun.
Okay.
Just, again, once we run the plan, then we'll see what's going on. Okay. So the next thing is you've got these mutual funds. How about this one with the 401k? Are you adding anything to that one?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
That's $1,350 a month also.
Okay, 1350. Okay. And your employer, I've got they're putting in $67 a month into that one.
That's correct.
Okay. And that will stop also at retirement, correct? And that's Allie's retirement, I'm guessing.
That's correct.
Okay. What about the second Roth? Are we putting in something for Allie's Roth?
Yes. Basically, it's $400 a month.
Okay. But that also, it's not going to be just until retirement. You might actually continue that. And how old is Allie now?
42.
42, youngster. Wow, I can't even remember when I was 42. Okay, so that's $400 a month. Is that what we said?
Yeah.
Okay. And let's just for argument's sake, we'll say at 60 she's going to stop it.
Okay.
Okay. What about this other tax-free bond? Are you adding anything to this account?
No.
Okay. And are you saving money in your checking account every month?
Well,
In other words,
Whatever we don't spend, yeah.
okay, so we'll leave that. You're not on purpose adding. How about to the savings account? Are you on purpose adding something to that every month?
No.
Okay. All right. So is there anything else about assets that I need to understand?
No.
Okay. Let me go over. There we go. So, okay, so good. So you've been really helpful on that. Now I'm going to go over and look at your liabilities. Okay. So the only liability that you have is an auto loan. Is that right?
Correct.
And you're paying $1,200. Excuse me. You owe $12,000. It's $350 a month. And what is the interest rate?
I forget what it was, but I was gonna pay it off, but it ended up being that it was so low that it didn't matter. So that's why we're making the payments on it.
It's around 1.5%.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So that should be paid off in about 3 years, looks like.
Correct.
Okay. No other loans, no other debts. That's it.
No.
Beautiful. Okay. Income. So let me go back and share my screen. So everyone, can you see my screen now?
I think it's coming. Yes.
Good. So Jake, you earn about $85,000 a year, and there's no changes to that. It's going to go on until you retire, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And you're currently not making any self-employment income. I'm going to come back to that in a minute.
That's correct.
Okay. And then salary and wages for Allie, it's about $58,000.
That's correct.
And okay, there's no increases. And then there's Allie's currently earning about $2,600 a year on self-employment.
No, I don't know where that came from. I may have made a mistake there. That's supposed to be 0 right now.
Okay, fair enough. Now, so this will come back. That'll zero out in a minute when we get out of that screen. Trust me, it will. Okay. So let me ask you this question, and I'm going to come back and talk with you guys. So we talked a little bit about self-employment, and when you retire, and by the way, this is one of the reasons why we spend a little bit of time in the front end of this talking to get to know each other. So tell me a little bit about when you retire, Jake, what do you think is reasonable in terms of how much you have to invest in your business and how much income you'll earn? And the same thing with Allie, please.
I can't honestly come up with a number because it depends on the size and where we end up. In some places, there would be a lot more opportunity, but if we end up in a smaller city or a smaller area, it's going to be a much smaller number. So I don't really have any idea, to be honest with you.
Okay, so we should probably then run the plan based on 0, right?
That would be fine for right now, yes.
Okay. What about Allie's business?
He hadn't asked me to think about that. I probably wherever I am though, I don't foresee ever setting up an actual studio. I'd probably run it out of my house, so expenses would be minimal.
What about income-wise? How much do you think it would be reasonable to earn in that business?
In retirement, maybe somewhere between 20 and 30.
Okay. So you think it's reasonable that we should put that in there? That once you guys retire, that at least Allie will be making, let's say, $20,000 on her photography business. Do you feel good about that, or should I put a 0 in there?
Yeah, let's go with that number.
20,000?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. Okay. Okay, hold on. Okay, give me one sec. Very good. Okay. Um, on the so obviously this is very important in terms of planning for the future. Even though we don't know what it is that you're going to be making for sure, we want to have some conversation around it because, and it's obviously better to be more on the conservative side than on the optimistic side. But we want to talk about it and think about it. And by the way, this is another reason why I always recommend that people update their plans every year, because the income situation changes. You guys are young. You want to retire at a, very young age, and that gives you lots of life in front of you. And that means, number one, expenses that are, longer term to deal with, inflation to deal with for a longer term, and also just that part of life where things change. 2 or 3 years from now, you just don't know what for sure what you'll be doing.
Exactly.
Which is fine, which is great. I mean, who wants to live in a life where they know exactly what's going to be going on? So you're two people who you want to live your lives on purpose. You have a plan, which is great, and you don't want to just get stuck in your jobs. It feels like you're not stuck. So you want to make some big changes, but when people make big changes, they tend to or discover things about themselves and what they really want to do that evolve over time. So that's why it's important on the one hand to do as much projection as we can, but on the other hand to be flexible and to come back and revisit this every year, because we don't know what your expenses are going to be. We don't know what your income is going to be, especially after you retire. Does that make sense?
Yep,
A lot.
a good idea.
Okay. So what I'm going to do now, I'd like to continue with you guys, and I may end up putting this into 2 different segments, if that's okay with you.
Okay.
Okay. So we're going to continue now with Jake and Allie on their retirement planning. We're going through their input form. And hold on. Actually, hold on. I'm going to cut that last part out. Hold on a second. Okay, so far we've gone through quite a bit of the input form. It hasn't taken that long. And by the way, has this, Jake, when you were inputting the data, did it take you a long time to do it or not?
Not really. It didn't take more than 10 minutes probably because I have all the data collected.
That's great. That's really good. So what we're going to do now is our time's out for today, but we're going to continue next week with completing going through the input form, making sure that I've got everything right, and it's worthwhile to have a conversation with you to go through this just to make sure that I understand everything so that when we ultimately run your plan, it'll be accurate, so it could be useful to you.
Okay.
All right. So I'll see you next week.
Okay.
Okay. Don't hang up. Okay. So, did you hang up?
No, we're still here.
Okay. I knew it. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to come back in and finish this up.
Okay.
This part probably won't take that long at all, but I'm I'm traveling next week, and then 2 weeks later I'm traveling, so it's a little bit crazy. So
That's fine.
this way we'll get it all done. Okay. Okay, so we're back with Jake and Allie. You still there with me?
We are.
We're here.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So last time we met, we talked about the input form for your financial plan and the importance of going through each item to make sure that we're running these projections based on the facts on the ground. Now, one thing I mentioned last week was that, which is something that most people do, one or the other will actually complete the form. And Allie, was that a problem with last week's information, or were you okay with everything that Jake had input into the data forms?
It all looked good to me, what I've seen so far.
Okay. So over the last several weeks, you haven't been hitting him with frying pans or anything like that?
No.
All good? Okay. Okay, so one thing we looked at last week, again, or last time we spoke, excuse me, that when we're running projections for you, we don't know what the future holds. You guys especially have a lot of changes that will be happening in your lives over the near term. And because you're young, that means there'll be more opportunity for more changes to be introduced. So this is not about when we're all done and then we do this projection for you, it's not about mapping out exactly what's going to happen. It's showing us that given what we know, the best information we have available right now, are you going to make it or not? So it tells us if we're in the right direction or not. It's good and it's doing the best we can. Okay, so you'll have a lot more information than you would if we did not do these projections. But it won't tell you specifically, because we can't predict the future. We don't know what the returns are going to be. We don't know what inflation is going to be. We don't know how long you're really going to work. We don't know how much money you'll make when you start, after you retire and start your own businesses. So this is, again, a reason why it's important to rerun these plans every year or two. Does that make sense?
It does. Makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Now, in terms of insurance, okay, so I'm going to go over here. You guys have no insurance, or at least you had no life insurance when we spoke last time.
Outside of work, that's correct at this point.
Okay, so you currently have insurance at work, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so let me add that. Let me add that over here anyway. And so you have insurance on Jake, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and about how much insurance do you have, Jake?
It's 1 to 2 times the salary, depending on if it's accidental or non-accidental.
Well, let's assume it's not accidental.
Okay, then it'd be 1 year's salary.
So that's 85,000?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And what about Allie? Does she have any?
Same thing.
Okay. And are you able to buy more insurance?
We are.
Okay. From work?
Correct.
Okay. And are you thinking about doing that?
We're not thinking about doing that. We are still investigating when we talked a couple months ago about the different types of insurance, we're still looking at that. And the odds are we're probably going to do something there.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah. Just for the listeners, we spent a lot of time talking about insurance. And it's interesting because even though Jake and Allie have no children, we discussed the potential need for life insurance because they depend on each other's ability to generate income, at least over the short run. So there is a need for life insurance, at least over the short run, at least until we know, but by the way, you'll know more about that once we complete the projections for you. So it's good that you're waiting, and we should be able to get to that pretty promptly. Okay, so Allie, your insurance is what, $48,000?
58.
58. Sorry about that. Okay, 58,000. Okay. And that's through work. Okay. Okay. And let's just see one thing. Okay, so you're seeing me, you're not seeing the screen. Okay. Okay. So now let's talk about expenses. Okay. Let me show the screen. This is very interesting what you did. That's cool. Okay. So this is great. So you guys are a rare breed of people who really know what it costs them to live. Now, when I run these plans for people, all I really care about is their bottom number. Okay, what it costs you to live on average. So, because I'm not going to tell you you're spending too much on food or gifts or vacations. That's not for me to say. But what you're saying to me here is that you're spending about $36,000 a year on your expenses. Is that true?
That's correct, based upon the information that where we've been collecting the data for the past 6 months for this uh,
For
this
the
program.
for the program, right? Okay. And how are you collecting the data, by the way? Are you using my 5 minute a month idea? Are you using YNAB, something else, Mint? What are you doing to collect that data?
Everything's being collected in a spreadsheet.
Okay. So here's a recommendation, a strong recommendation. About 5% of the people do this, but I recommend it to everybody. You can enter it into a spreadsheet. It's terrific. I also recommend you go to my website and read up on that 5 minute a month method where you look at your total withdrawals for the month, because that tells you how much you're really spending. And you can compare that number to what you get on your spreadsheet, and if there's a big difference, that means your spreadsheet's incomplete. It's always good to have a check. It's always good to have a check and balance.
We've actually been doing that.
Okay. So, okay, good. You get the Gold Star Award for today. Okay, excellent. Okay, and I'll put up a link here for other people. If you want to go to wealthpilgrim.com, and in the right search bar, I can even show you. Little plug. You don't mind, do you?
No.
Okay. I should have had this up anyway. Okay, so you go to wealthpilgrim.com. You should log in, and you should actually get a subscription or free subscription, but if you don't, that's okay. Go down here to the search bar and just put in 5 minutes, and you will get a link to the post that I wrote about how to track your finances in 5 minutes a month. There's 2 of them. Read both of these. They're very good articles, and they'll help you a lot. It doesn't cost you a dime, and it costs very little time also. Okay, so you feel that this $36,000 is a good number, right?
I do.
Okay, now will that change when you retire?
I would imagine so.
Do you have any projections of what that might look like?
I don't at this point.
Okay, well, it's definitely something for both you and Allie to look at. Like, you may not have the data now, that's okay, but at least it's something that you really do need to look at. What is it going to cost you to live? What is your housing going to be? Are you going to sell your current house and buy one for cash? What's it going to look like? As long as it doesn't go up, that's fine. If it's going to go up, we need to know about it. If it goes down, it doesn't matter, because if we're planning on you at 36 and you actually only spend 24, right, then we got no problem.
My biggest fear is healthcare.
Yeah, which is something that very few people really know. I don't understand it. I don't know about you, but I'm still in a haze about that.
Exactly.
Okay. Let's go back to your planning. Okay. So good. So I'm going to encourage you, and this is something that I encourage everybody to do always, no matter what, no matter how much money you have, is to track your spending. It doesn't have to be where you track every single item, but you do need to know how much you spend on average, what it costs you to live. Very important number, because with that, you can do lots of really cool planning. Without it, you're basically flying in the dark. You can't do anything.
Yes, we've learned a lot from tracking ours over the past few months.
Right. What are some of the big takeaways for you?
That we were spending about as much eating out as we were on groceries.
Wow. So did that change any of your spending behavior?
Well, neither one of them I thought were excessively high, because we only eat out like once a week maybe. It's just that I assumed that it was much more different than that.
Okay. So it didn't necessarily change your behavior, but it was just interesting information, and maybe later on you may or may not change.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very good. But it's empowering to have that information. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, I would agree with that. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the story. At this point, I'm ready to go into my laboratory and run some numbers. which I will do. When we get back together, we'll go over some of the reports. If I have questions in the interim, I will shoot you an email or I'll call you and we'll talk about it.
Okay.
But otherwise, what we'll do is we'll be ready next time we meet to actually go through the plan.
Okay. That sounds good.
Do you guys have any questions for me at all?
Not right now.
Okay. All right. Well, again, thanks a lot for taking part. You guys are great people to work with. I appreciate it, and also I have a lot of respect for the respect that you have for the process. This is gonna. I hope it's been helpful to you so far, and I think it will be helpful going forward when you have a plan and you see, given what we're doing now, what does it look like down the line. I think that's really going to be empowering as well. So thanks for.
We're very excited about it too.
Okay. All right, guys. Until next time, we'll see you next time.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.